Okay, well, good morning, everybody. We're going to start right at 9:30. We have Councillor Oosterhoff there on Zoom, so we have a quorum. I need to start by recognizing the death of one of our committee members, of Ted Smith. We don't have details of a funeral or of anything apart from the notice that I send out to committee members. If we find out more, we certainly will be sending commiserations, but at present, we don't know. You have an agenda. Do I have any additions to the agenda? I'm looking at 1, 2, 3 in here. And seeing none, the three of you are going to have to take it between yourselves to move and second things this morning. A mover for the agenda as printed. Don, seconder. Councillor Oosterhoff, thank you very much. Any further discussion? And seeing none, those in favour? And you have an agenda. The minutes of December the 21st you had distributed. I have heard nothing to change in those. Does anybody want to add anything now? And seeing nothing then, can I look for a mover to approve those minutes as printed? Looking for, thank you. Janine and Councillor Oosterhoff. Voting those in favour of those minutes as printed. Those opposed? Okay, that is a set of minutes. Pecuniary interest, is there any known at present? And I will make my usual comment that if it appears as we go through that you forgot or something comes up, then please say so just as fast as you can. I believe there are no presentations, which gets us right the way down to stat business. Philip, 111 Norman Rogers Drive.
Hope everyone had a nice holiday season here. So we're going to be looking at 111 Norman Rogers Drive. This is a significant roof and property renovation proposal, and it's colloquially known as the barn, which I will be referring to it as such throughout this presentation. And that is the historical actual barn on the property, hence its name. The barn is in Rodden Park on a hill in the center of Calvin Park area. It is opposite the Centennial Public School. It's extremely visible and is a landmark for the area. The limestone barn has regularly coursed ashlar limestone and a medium-pitched gable roof with exposed gables and 3 equally spaced venting cupolas along the roof ridge. My apologies. So the subject property is designated under Part 4 and 5 of the Ontario Heritage Act. The above slide summarizes the important heritage attributes of the property. The associated report also contains this information, and the entire information is available in Exhibit B of the report itself. In May 2022, prior to submitting a heritage permit, the applicant has assessed the roof and walls of the barn in a minimally invasive fashion in line with best practices, which found that several upgrades and restorations would improve the structural and exterior elements of the building. During the assessment, the applicant undertook a historical overview of the property and found some photos of the 1961 roof, which you can see above here, which shows the finials on the cupolas as well as a different roof finish that exists today. So during the preliminary assessment, it was noted that the cupola, louvers, moldings, and roof roll were required like-for-like replacement due to their poor condition. While this may likely be the result of many of these features. Repairable features should be restored and retained where possible. This is a condition of approval. Further, this preliminary assessment includes a review of the historic photographs and images of the property and the surrounding site. The included photo from 1961 showed a roof that had likely had metal shingles with a black coating, but also had a copper finial atop the cupolas. This subtle but important cupola accent adds to the building's prominence and are being reinstated, or proposed to be reinstated within this proposal, when the cupolas are restored and the roof is refinished and reflashed in copper. The material change and reinstatement of the architectural features will improve the property's heritage value. With regard to the various removals that are going to be proposed for this property, this is shown in the included demolition plan on the slide above. This includes the removal of 2 non-original and unsympathetic building alterations, namely the non-original but still semi-sympathetic stone chimney along the northeastern elevation, which will leave only one course above the attic roof. The remaining portion of the chimney will be capped in metal and will match the color of the new roofing system. The second removal is the most inappropriate part of the building, and that is the large black colored antenna with the associated cables. The large existing antenna has a large black silhouette that draws attention towards the sky instead of the building itself. When the antenna is removed and is not reinstated, this will refocus attention out of the building itself and allow it to better blend into the surrounding landscape. The removal of this antenna will greatly improve the heritage value of this property. The applicant also seeks to remove and replace the eaves troughs and downspouts as well as snow guards. And finally, the applicant also seeks to replace the galvanized metal roofing system with a standing seam metal roof, both of which will be reviewed in just a moment. To begin with the roof replacement, the standing seam metal roof change will result in a neutral heritage impact. While the metal panel roofing system is noted as a heritage attribute when it was designated in 2007, it is unknown if this is original to the building, especially since the applicant, who has a CAP membership, noted that the existing metal roofing system has a general lifespan of approximately 70 years. So the original roof has likely been replaced, even if this is a reproduction of that roof. Historically, barns have had standing seam metal roofs with appropriate spacing of the ribs, so a new standing seam metal roof system should still preserve the heritage value of the property while maintaining the property for the long term. Importantly, a finalized color of the roofing system has not yet been determined. Heritage staff will be consulted prior to finalization and purchase of this final color, and this is also a condition of approval. The existing eaves troughs and downspouts will be replaced with a slightly larger system in the same color as the roof. The snow guards will be replaced with the new aluminum ones, also in the same color as the roof. And the application also calls for the replacement flashing and a new cap for the existing vent, replacement snow guards, as mentioned earlier, as well as a new replacement eaves trough system. The replacement system will only be 0.03 meters wider than the existing system. This enlargement should accommodate drainage better than the existing residential grade system, especially when one considers the roof pitch and area of the roof. The upgraded drainage system should better preserve the building for the long term with minimal to no heritage impacts. Finally, the preliminary analysis noted the building's masonry was in, quote, generally fair condition, but has localized defects that require attention. In this case, there is mortar loss, localized cracking of limestone walls, and a significant displacement and cracking of the coin stones. The replacement/repair of existing masonry must follow the city's masonry policy. This is also a condition of approval. So the recommendation included is in the associated report for review and is also on the slide above you here. And I also wanted to flag for your review conditions 2, 3, and 4. In particular, as their implementation will help maintain the heritage value of the property. The entire list of all conditions are available in the report for your consideration. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Philip. Committee members, questions, comments on that thorough report? Don?
Yes, thanks. I'm certainly pleased with the general plans to renovate this important building. And I think I'm pleased with the details that we were given. I do have one concern, and that is the color of the roof. I notice the conditions say that Heritage staff will be consulted. What that means is that the Heritage Committee will not be consulted. And I think that's really not appropriate. Colors of roofs are important. And, you know, I think it's unfortunate that we've come to this point without really having a definite color in mind. I think in my report I said medium or dark gray would be certainly appropriate, but you know, there's a wide range of possibilities, and I think the committee should have some input. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Other questions, comments? Philip, do you want to answer that one at all?
Sorry, excuse me, Mr. Chair. I'm not sure we can hear you very well.
Oh, well, I'm not sure why. Sorry? Lean a little. Is that any better? Yes. Oh, okay. Comments on the colour? Yeah.
Thank you. That's what we were. We weren't sure if you were asking us if we had an answer. I'm gonna, sorry, on Philip's behalf, thank you. I'm gonna actually pass it over to Jeff Rempel to respond.
Thank you. I'm Jeff Rempel. I'm the manager of Facilities Construction Services here at the city. We can commit to a color. The reason we didn't was we're gonna go out to bid and see what product the contractor selected, and then they would bring us the color samples. But we could narrow it down and say, bring us the color samples that are medium to dark gray.
Thank you very much. Other questions, comments? Do we have anybody on the public?
Mr. Chair, I will note that we do have at least one member of the public in the gallery on Zoom, and we have a couple members here before us. So if there's anyone who would wish to speak to the current
Any
application.
members of the public wish to speak, please make yourselves known either by raising a hand on Zoom or raising a hand here. And seeing none, look then to move this motion, which has 13 parts and 10 conditions to it. So the full motion, unamended, looking for a mover. Councillor, thank you. Looking for a seconder. Don, thank you. Just beaten you, Councillor Oosterhoff. On the floor, further discussion? Seeing none then, those in favour of the motion as printed in the agenda, those opposed, and that is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, city people, for firstly for quietening down the jackhammer and also for coming. We move on to 67 Sydenham Street and into part 5s.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Indeed, this is our next application. It's at 67 Sydenham Street. It also includes the addresses, sorry, I'm my paper right, 47 to 67 Sydenham Street and 119 to 121 Earl Street. It's on the east side of Sydenham Street between Earl and William Streets, and the property is known as the Annandale Complex. It includes the 1848 Carruthers Villa and the 1927 apartment building. The property is included in the old Sydenham Heritage Conservation District, which of course was passed in 2015. It's rated as significant to the district. The complex has a number of historic features that are outlined in your agenda package. There's a couple here, including the health-giving landscape with the buildings set within gardens, and the green courtyard deeply shaded by a number of large trees, large willow trees. And what we're looking at today is an application regarding these trees. These are the large willow trees. This was a few years ago before they were significantly pruned, but this is what's before us today. And they are noted as part of the mature vegetation of the district, part of the character, and it complements certainly the street and has a rather significant presence along Earl Street. The owners received approval in 2017 to remove one of the weeping willow trees, and they provided us with a little site plan in your agenda package. Up at the top right of their little site plan, it notes the tree that was removed. They also did a series of significant pruning at that time to bring the trees down to a little more manageable height and to decrease the safety concerns. An application before us today is a demolition application under Section 42 of the Heritage Act to remove the remaining 2 willow trees in the courtyard area of this complex. A tree inspection report was provided. It's included in your agenda and notes a number of concerns for the future of these trees. The owners, however, are committed to pruning and caring for the trees until they become too much of a hazard that they must be removed. The heritage approval today will allow the owners to remove these trees in a timely fashion. Well, I note just as a procedural matter that while demolitions and alterations are all processed under Section 42 of the Heritage Act, the consultation requirements with this committee are different for demolitions as they are for new construction and alterations. So where new construction and alterations do not require consultation through this committee, which is where we came up with the Part 5 process, consultation for demolition in a district does require consultation with the Heritage Committee. So this application and the motion before you today is drafted in a way very similar to what a Part 4 process would look like, and can be amended and can be supported and approved through this committee. The Annandale Complex is an interesting collection of buildings from multiple eras and designed by some of Kingston's most notable architects, including Coverdale, Gage, and Drever. The apartment building itself actually is an early addition to the region in the 1920s and was unique for its time in Kingston. The HCD plan provides guidelines and advice on best type, scale, and location of soft landscaping features, including trees, in order to conserve the heritage value of the district. However, given the seasonal and cyclical nature of these features, formal heritage approval is typically not required. However, as we noted, these particular trees have a significant presence and contribute to the overall character of the district and possibly predate many of the buildings in the district. Section 42 of the Act requires owners of properties within a district to gain approval by council to alter any of the properties, to alter any part of the properties, and that includes landscaping. It was determined that given the impact of this removal of these trees, the impact it would have on the district and character of the district, formal approval through a Heritage Act is prudent in this situation. Section 7.5 of the district plan notes that existing trees in private rear yards should be conserved where possible. Based on the findings of the tree inspection report, both of these trees appear to be in poor health and are showing signs of, quote, significant structural decline. The arborist recommendation is to plan for the removal of these trees in the next several years. They recommend that extreme reduction pruning be undertaken in order to retain the trees and ensure public safety in the short term, and that an annual program of inspection to evaluate the health of the trees be established. Staff have reviewed the information provided alongside with the description of heritage value for the district. And while the removal of the trees will be a loss to the heritage value of the district, given the findings of the arborist report and the associated safety concerns with these trees, staff have no objection to their removal, once deemed required and unavoidable by the arborist, which is a condition of the approval you'll see in a sec. The retention of the trees in the interim with a program of monitoring and extensive pruning will help defer this loss in the district. So this application was circulated to our number of agencies, and there are a summary of comments in your agenda. Of note, I would point to the comments from our forestry team. Public Works Forestry has reviewed the submitted arborist report and concurs with the findings and recommendations of the report. They're encouraged by the effort of the Annandale community to start planting trees early to retain the tree canopy in the area. And they do point to ensuring that the placement of new trees is consistent and in best practices in conjunction with the Electrical Safety Authority and planting trees under power lines. And our colleagues at Kingston Hydro similarly noted that there are power lines in close proximity to these trees, and they need to keep safe distance from them or call to have them isolated. So, Mr. Chair, our recommendations are before you. As I said, they're very similar to a Part 4 recommendation, and there are a number of conditions associated with the keeping the trees in safe locations, as well as gaining proper approvals and contacting staff once the trees are to be removed, so we can at least take some pictures again. So, I have any questions? Thank you. Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Today is the first meeting for Nicole Kinsett. She's our heritage planner, started a few weeks ago, and we are happy to have her aboard. And this is the Heritage Committee. Nicole.
Members of the public, I believe we still have no members of the public. Sorry? Oh, the owner. Oh, yeah, Patricia Layton, do you want to comment on this at all? You need to unmute yourself. There we go.
Hello. Yes, I'm actually a member of the board of the Annandale, so I'm a co-owner.
Do you have comments to make on what you've heard?
Yes, I guess what I would want to add is that the second severe pruning of the willows took place in October, and therefore we've moved a little further forward in the plan. Actually, I'm very happy to say that they survived the Bond cyclone of a couple weeks ago. And so that sort of proved their ongoing strength at the moment. One other point in the arborist report, though, is that they are declining faster than they were in 2017, which isn't that surprising. We have some maple trees that have grown up to provide canopy in the garden in the years since the tree number 3 was taken out. And I should also note that the whole issue came to the attention of the Annandale board, although I wasn't on the board at that time, in 2017, because tree number 4 had been blown over and destroyed. And some of you may remember that. There had been 4 willow trees and 1 fell, which is, a driver of anxiety for some of the residents at the Annandale. But the roots on the parking lot side, which included that tree that fell and the tree that was removed, the roots have been undermined by the paving of the parking lot. And that's put them in much greater danger than the 2 that remain on the Earl Street side. So I am hopeful that these trees will last for a number of more years, but that also we can expedite matters when the moment comes that we're told the trees really cannot just be pruned to remain sufficiently safe, and that they do have to be removed. So that's the nature of the application, which I thought was well conveyed already.
Thank you for that. Committee members, questions? Final comments? Done?
I guess we all love trees and we're sorry to lose them, but I guess my comment, which I made in Dash, is that once a tree is seriously declining in safety and in appearance, I think it's best to make a quick decision and plant some new trees rather than going to the expense and possible dangers of sort of keeping them going for a couple more years. So I'm certainly quite happy with the recommendation. How you manage this is up to you, but my own suggestion is do it now and plant some good new trees. Thanks.
Good, thank you. Other committee members? And seeing none then, I look for a mover and a seconder for the motion and the 9 conditions. Jennifer and Councillor? Ready to vote? No, any further discussion? Okay, those in favour of everything as printed? Those opposed? And we have everybody in favour there. So thank you, Patricia Layton, for speaking, and good luck with this project. I think we're all sorry to see that it has to happen, but that's what happens with trees. Thank you. Okay, 47 Wellington Street. Philip? Yes, Philip.
Hello again, everybody. 47 Wellington Street is designated under Part 4 and 5 of the Ontario Heritage Act. This is an alteration proposal for the property colloquially known as the Wellington Street School that involves the addition of a new sign on the front facade. The subject property is located mid-block between Gore and Earl Street on the eastern side, approximately 20 meters away from the city. Sorry, 200 meters away, my apologies, from City Park. The property contains a 2.5-story building with a 3-story tower, has 7 bays, sits on a high story foundation with pitched face coins along the entire height of the facade. The subject property is designated under Part 4 and 5, and the above slide summarizes the important heritage attributes of the property. Similar to the last report, this information is provided in the associated report, and the entire entry is available in Exhibit B for your review. The addition of a new plaque on the front facade of 47 Wellington Street will have a neutral heritage impact. While the black-colored plaque may appear to be in a prominent place, its location on one of the flanking double bays under the first floor window instead of the central bay ensures that the visual emphasis remains on the building's massing and design. The plaque's location also avoids key heritage attributes, while also being a reversible alteration, as it will be anchored in masonry joints in accordance with the city's masonry policy. This is a condition of approval. Finally, the placement of the plaque is on the front facade and also allows an educational opportunity, displaying the building's military contributions, specifically to the HMCS Stone Frigate from 1943 to 1959. In this case, I wanted to highlight Condition 1, which is the masonry policy being followed of this recommendation, as this will help maintain the heritage value of the property. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Philip. Dash comments, all okay? Members of the public? Do we have anybody, any member of the public wishing to speak? No? Okay, seeing none. Committee members, questions or comments? Done?
Just one in that, this building has quite a long history and served many functions, and I was a little concerned that we might end up with a whole row of plaques for their different functions over the years, and so I thought there really should be an opportunity to plan ahead and maybe have one large plaque with more history, but I guess we can leave that to the future, but I thought I should make that comment.
No, thank you, Don. It's a well-made comment. Nobody else is going to comment on it. That's fine. Other questions, thoughts? And seeing none, then I move on to a mover and a seconder as printed, the one motion and the two conditions. Janine and who did I see? Yeah, Councillor, thank you. As printed, those in favour, those opposed, and that is carried. Thank you, Philip. Which moves us on to 85 King Street. Ryan.
Mr. Chair. 85 King Street East. It's on the southwest corner of King Street and Simcoe Street, and contains the 1877 stone mansion built for local businessman Robert Kent by plans by Joseph Powers. The property was designated in 1975 under Part 4 and was included in the Heritage District, part of Sydenham. It's a bit of a landmark, I would say, in the district. It's rated as significant to the district. Some of the interesting features include the 3-story stone dwelling, of course, designed by Power and Son, with its ironwork and carpentry work being specifically noted, and the King Street wall and iron fence that wrap around the property at Simcoe is noted in the district plan inventory. So what we're looking at today is something this committee has seen once before. It's an application, well, just to step back, the owner received a heritage approval, as you may recall, in 2020 to construct a shared detached garage with the property to the south at 46 Simcoe Street. The owner is considering significant changes to the previous approval and came to this committee back in June for a pre-consultation application, which provided the committee a chance to give some preliminary feedback to this current design, and this has now, and as well as agencies and heritage staff. And those comments went back to the owner and his team, and they've responded to the comments and made some revisions to the plans. And so what you see before you is their now application under section 42 for alteration, new construction, to add an addition to the house. And this is a 2-story attached garage addition with a rooftop patio. It extends approximately 14 meters from the west side of the, what we're calling servants' quarters or staff quarters of the rear part of the dwelling. The new addition will include a 2-car drive-through garage connected to the main house by an arched breezeway. The second floor will have direct access to the rear portion of the main dwelling, and the addition is to be clad in local limestone. All windows are to be wooden, clad in metal, and in an off-white color. The plans include a conceptual elevator overrun, which you may have noticed. This is not part of this current application. However, a small door structure is proposed above the roof at the rear staff quarters of the building to gain access to the rooftop patio. The structure is to be clad in a dark metal to match and blend in with the roof. 3 new second floor windows, which you can see in the bottom of that plan on the screen, are proposed on the southern wall of the dwelling. These will accommodate 3 new sash windows, wooden again with metal cladding, in a size and location that match those on the first floor, including the use of stone sills, jambs, and heads. The stone and metal fence along King Street East is proposed to be altered to create access to the new garage, which you can see at the top of the screen. The opening will span between the existing pillars or newel posts on the fence, about 5 meters wide. On the western edge of the property, recessed black metal gates, either swing or cantilevered with simple detailing to complement the existing iron fence, are proposed for both pedestrian and vehicle access. And it is hoped that salvage material from the fence will be incorporated into the new design. Supporting information was provided as a covering letter, some response to the comments, as well as detailed plans and photographs are included in your agenda package. Section 5 of the district plan, next slide for you to see this view from the street and view from Simcoe Street. Section 5 of the district plan establishes policies and guidelines related to building alterations and additions. Echoing Standard 11 of the Parks and Canada Standards and Guidelines, Section 5.2.2 of the district plan provides various high-level guidelines related to additions to heritage buildings, noting that new additions should be complementary to the main building and clearly secondary in terms of their size. They should also be clearly distinguishable in their form and detailing. Section 5.2.2 also directs that additions should be located away from the main street facade at the rear of the building and not add to the width of the front of the building. If located on the side of the building, they should be clearly set back from the face of the heritage structure to maintain its prominence and should avoid causing irreversible changes to the original building. The new two-story addition is proposed to be added to the historic staff quarters located to the rear of the main dwelling. The new addition will be set back more than 23 meters or over 75 feet from the King Street East lot line and over 15 meters from the north wall of the main dwelling, front wall of the main dwelling, thus conserving and highlighting the prominence of the heritage building on the street. The inclusion of the arched breezeway and glass railings will help break up the massing of the new addition. Further, if removed, in the future, the western side of the staff quarters could be restored to its original form. The proposal includes a variety of new windows in the new addition. The 3 new windows on the second floor of the rear staff quarters. Section 5.3.2 provides guidance on window alterations to existing window openings and directs not to alter location, size, and shape of existing windows. Now, while the garage portion of the addition will be over 8 meters wide, the portion that actually abuts the stone building, attaches to the building, is narrower at less than 7 meters or about 20 feet, thus only impacting 2 of the 3 bay elevations on that side of the staff quarters. While not noted specifically as heritage attributes, the existing openings and fenestration pattern on the building are prominent features. The doorway and second floor window opening in the first bay of the staff quarters will need to be altered in length to accommodate the proposed floor levels and to create second floor access to the addition. The width of the openings are not proposed to change. These changes are located on the historic staff quarters, well set back from the public realm, and once construction is complete, they will be completely concealed within the addition of the addition, thus having no impact to the heritage value and character from the district. And if the addition is removed in the future, the window openings could be restored to their original appearance. Section 5.4.2 permits large areas of glazing visible from the street at rear additions located on corner lots. The new addition includes a series of new windows, which you can see in the plan here, visible from the street, but set back 23 meters from King Street in the rear portion of the property. And while the new windows appear extensive on the plans, the applicant has confirmed that each window will be separated by a 20 centimeter or 8-inch wide wooden mullion with a bead or bullnose round edge profile. Notwithstanding the HCD policy compliance in this matter, staffs continue to have some reservations with respect to the appropriateness of the solid to void ratio on this elevation. And except for the 2 large bay windows on the main building, the majority of the fenestration on the main building is comprised of double and single windows only. The proposal to include 6 windows plus a double window over the breezeway seems unnecessary, in our opinion, and inconsistent with historic fabric. So staff have included a condition to encourage the owner to consider reducing the number of windows on the King Street East elevation. Now turning to the landscaping. I'm not sure that's the best plan. Let's go to that one again. Existing historic landscape structures, such as the stone and iron fence, are noted as heritage attributes in the district. They are considered part of the cultural landscape treatment of the district by framing large landmark properties and adding to the interest, heritage character, and picturesque qualities of Old Sydenham. The iron perimeter fence with its limestone base extends along King Street of the property. Its construction date is unknown, but its contribution to the district with other historic landscape features is noted in the district plan. The fence is approximately 40 meters or 130 feet long, stands about 1.6 or 5 feet, 6 meters or 5 feet tall, with decorative iron newel posts and pillars placed regularly at about 5-meter intervals. There's a thick hedge, extends the full length on the inside of the fence. The applicant is proposing to disassemble a portion of this fence near the western edge of the property between newel posts and add a vehicular driveway leading to the new garage. A cantilevered or swing gate is proposed to control vehicular access, and a second pedestrian gate is also proposed leading to the front door. The gates are to be black metal, designed to complement the design of the existing fence. Where possible, portions of the existing fence and stone base will be reused in the reconfigured structure. The perimeter fence is an impressive structure that contributes to the district, and it adds to the prominence of this landmark building. Of its roughly 40 meters, only 5 meters of the structure, or about 12%, is being altered in any way. The remaining 35 meters, or 115 feet, will remain unchanged. The portion to be removed will be reconfigured to create a recessed entrance using as much salvage material as possible. In accordance with guideline 414 of the federal standards and guidelines, fences help to define and organize the space of HCD or cultural landscape. They're often designed and built together with buildings themselves as a cohesive group. This fence clearly separates the private outdoor space of the property from the busy public thoroughfare of King Street East, and has done so presumably for many decades. The iron and stone fence plays an important role in the character of the district. Its design and materiality contribute to the prominence of the dwelling and its presence on one of Kingston's main thoroughfares. The fence defines the boundary between public and private, and together with the stone wall on Simcoe Street adds to the interest and historic character of the intersection. The proposed alterations to the western edge of this fence will not impact these noted traits. However, it will improve the enjoyment and functionality of the property for the owner. Given the extent of the fencing remaining unchanged, the original configuration of the fence could be reinstated in the future. So in summary, the new addition, windows, and perimeter fence alterations will be designed to be compatible in terms of materiality, profile, and design, yet subordinate to the attached heritage building in terms of their height, massing, and location, and will ensure the landmark prominence of this property and its contribution to the Old Sydenham district is conserved. We circulated this application to our technical colleagues. Engineering, I just wanted to note, has requested a grading plan. The plan is to show that there are no adverse impacts to adjacent properties. They are also wanted to note that there could be no obstruction of the pedestrian sidewalk for cars queuing in front of the gate when it's closed. And staff have included conditions of approval herein to ensure that these requirements are addressed. This application was, of course, submitted for the committee to provide comments. We received 2 comments from committee members. Those were submitted to the applicants and noted no real concerns. So, Mr. Chair, our recommendations are on the screen. They span over 3 slides. There are 17 conditions associated with this complex application. But ultimately, Mr. Chair, we recommend approval conditional to those, subject to those conditions. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for reminding us all and taking us all through that. Members, can you confirm your dash comments are correctly recorded? Members of the public? Bruce, do you want to comment at this point?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I'd like to thank Ryan for that extensive description of the complex nature of what's proposed for this building. I certainly appreciate it. And it was carefully put together, and I don't believe I have anything to add to that. But I'm here to answer questions, and in the event that there are questions related to planning, we're going through a planning application as well. Mark Tao is on Zoom listening, and he's able to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Other, we have nobody else there that wants to comment. Committee members, questions, comments? Done?
Well, just a minor one for Bruce. I noticed the staff conditions will encourage the applicant to reduce the windows from 3 to 2 triple to double windows, and there was some argument for that. I just wondered whether you had made any decision on whether to make any changes. Thank you.
Thanks, Don. We are considering that seriously. We'll be showing, we're having some discussions with Ryan about that and probably develop sketches of what that would look like. There are probably other features, there are details that have to be put together with regard to the stone wall cladding and, well, a series of details that I'll have to go over, I would like to go over with staff as we develop the documents, and the design of those ones is one of the areas that we're looking at.
Thank you. Councillor Oosterhoff, you had a question?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just we followed this project for quite a while now, but I'm just incredibly impressed with it, and would love to have a tour as it gets closer to being done. But this is a great example of work done really well, and I'm just really impressed and pleased. Thank you.
Good, thank you very much. Other questions, comments? I know it's a big one. I don't think we've ever seen 17 conditions before. Beautifully written, mind you, so thank you. Final comments? And seeing no movement anywhere, I need a mover and a seconder to approve the 4-part motion and the 17 conditions attached to it. Moved by Don, seconded by Councillor Glenn. Thank you very much. And Councillor Oosterhoff as well. Calling the vote then, those in favour, those opposed, that is carried. And I just add a congratulations, because I know this has taken a long time to get this far. And it's nice to see it finally moving onward. So we go to 78. I'll remember the name of the street in a moment. Got to pass too many pages. 78 Gore Street, Philip.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Okay. My apologies. 78 Gore Street is designated under Part 4 and 5 of the Ontario Heritage Act. This alteration proposal is related to an expanded rear yard facing shed dormer and front dormer recladding. The subject property is located mid-block between King Street East and Wellington Street on the southern side and is located approximately 200 meters from City Park. Oh, my apologies. The property contains a building that comprises 1/2 of the hammer-dressed stone 2.5-story duplex with a pair of chimneys on the northwestern facade. So the subject property is designated under Part 4 and 5 of the Ontario Heritage Act, and the above slide summarizes the important heritage attributes of the property. These are also included in the corresponding report, and the entire entry and designation can be found in Exhibit B. To focus first on the rear additions and alterations, the rear shed dormer width increase will not be visible from the public realm on either side of the main street and in the street behind it. The rear yard alterations should be sympathetic to or maintain the property's heritage value, so long as they are appropriately attached to the southwestern chimney, as long as the conditions are followed in this permit. These changes to the chimney will be reversible and will maintain an understanding of the original roof pitch. The proposed dormer extension will be at or below the roof line. The dormer incorporates A reveal for the southwestern chimney, and the proposed windows will not be visible from the public realm, and they will be either restored, if possible, or be an appropriate aluminum-clad wood window that emulates the existing rear dormer wooden windows. In terms of proposing or expanding rear shed dormers in general in the Old Sydenham Heritage Conservation District, the plan's guidelines note that, quote, "shed dormers are not recommended." Further, the plan's policy section notes that roof profiles visible from the street should remain unaltered, and additions will be permitted at the rear of existing mid-block buildings, provided zoning is permitting. In this case, the Heritage Conservation District plan does not prohibit shed dormers. It only discourages them, largely due to the visual impact on the district. As the proposed shed dormer does not disrupt the roof profile visible from the street, it's proposed at the rear of a mid-block building. The shed dormer expansion appears permitted by the Heritage Conservation District plan. Regarding the flat roof, the continued use of black roof membrane on the entire dormer will allow for visual consistency with the existing shed dormer, and also a clear indication of the recent addition, although a different type of roofing would have been preferred. However, there are two parts of the application that will require further review by staff, namely how the dormer will be attached to the southwestern chimney, and the location, design, and color of the two roof vents that will need to be relocated to allow the inclusion of the dormer extension. The applicant has noted that the dormer will likely need a wood ledger to connect to the roof to the chimney. And to facilitate this connection, the applicant must follow the city's masonry policy. Further, the applicant will consult with heritage staff on the finalized connection method, both of which are conditions of approval. Finally, the roof vent location, design, and color are yet to be determined, but will be outside of the public view and will need further review/approval by staff prior to installation. This also is a condition of approval. The material change from asphalt to cedar shingles on the sides of the front, on both sides of the front dormers, or dormer, singular, are more compatible with the building's age and architectural style. And overall, these changes will increase the amount of living space while maintaining/slightly improving the heritage value as perceived from the public realm. The recommendation is included in the associated report for your review and is on the slide here above. And importantly, I wanted to highlight conditions 1, 2, 3, and 7, all of which are included in the report and will help maintain the property's heritage value. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Philip. Members, can you confirm your dash comments? And seeing no concerns there, members of the public, we have, I believe, is it the owner, Ms. Ritzma? Do you want to make comments?
I don't really have anything to add to what's been said, other than just thank you for the work that's gone into this thus far.
Good, thank you very much. Do you want to comment? If you can come to one of the microphones, and then you've got to make the light go red.
Perfect. Hi, my name is Mike Preston, and I'm the agent for Ben and Lindsay Ritzma, the owners of 78 Gore Street. I don't really have much to add. I understand there was comments from one member, I think Mr. Taylor, about possibly pulling the dormer back from the chimney. While I understand that desire, doing that would create a number of issues. First off, that chimney is about 2 feet thick, and that's the thickness of the side exterior wall, so that's where we're planning to attach the dormer and use for bearing. So if we pull it back, it's going to create a point load kind of in the middle of the room, which would add extra cost to figure that out. We'd also have to pull it back at least 2 to 3 feet just to avoid snow and debris and things like that from piling up between the chimney and the dormer. Also, it's right now that room is a pretty small room. It's about 10 by 12 with a very low slope ceiling. So in order to make this proposal worthwhile, really need to do it right across to maximize the benefits. So I think because this won't be seen from the street, and it's sorry, I'm losing my track here. because it won't be seen, and I think it makes most sense to build it as drawn and maximize the benefits of the proposal.
Thank you very much. Committee members, questions, comments, thoughts? Done?
Thanks. Well, as we know, shed dormers are a bit tricky in this district, but I have no problems with this particular application because the shed dormer is in the rear, is essentially invisible, and there are now quite a number of precedents where we've allowed shed dormers in the rear that have very low visibility. So on that point, I think it's acceptable. But I am really quite concerned, as Mr. Preston noted, that the new addition kind of wraps around this beautiful stone chimney. And although he mentioned that there are some technical difficulties in pulling it back, I guess we lost Bruce Downey, but I'm sure there's plenty of expertise in this city that could make that dormer wall end up flush with the stone chimney. So you only lose a few inches of space, and you retain the appearance, the undisturbed appearance of this beautiful chimney. So I really feel fairly strongly about this. If this is a Part 5 application, I think I'd be moving an amendment to require. By the way, it might be good if we could actually see the picture. I don't know whether Philip wants to put a rear view picture of that chimney, just to remind people. Yeah, that'll do. That's a bit small, but you can see how the dormer kind of wraps around the chimney, and all I'm suggesting that is it be the outer wall of the dormer be flush with the side of the chimney. And that chimney is a really significant heritage attribute. And, you know, I think we, in this business, we're always looking for compromises. And as I say, I think we can accept the shed dormer, but I don't think it should wrap around and obscure part of the stone chimney. So as I say, this committee does not have the power to amend the application. Council does, I presume. As it stands, I'm afraid I'm going to vote against the application, just to show that this point, I think, is an important point. Oh, one other thing to mention. I noticed that the comment from the planning division mentions that the dormer doesn't satisfy the dormer bylaw and that a minor variance will be required. Well, this is another element in, let's put it this way, if that dormer wall were moved back to where I suggested, I think I would have no objection with the dormer bylaw being perhaps somewhat violated. So there's an issue here, and not a big issue. I think the dormer will happen, but I think it should not obstruct the chimney. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Just to explain to the two visitors, since this is an application within the Heritage District, we are not able to amend the proposal. So you want either votes for or against. And Don's point being that if it was outside the district, he would try to make an amendment. Since it is within the district, we cannot make that amendment. Other members of the committee wishing to comment here? Yes, Jennifer.
I actually disagree with you, Don. If you look through the pictures, I think that this even like on an angle looking into it, I don't think you'll notice that the wall is built in. And I think the placement of the wall actually could add heritage value to the interior because it allows that chimney to be exposed from the interior. If you had the wall proud of it, then you wouldn't get that sort of added benefit. So I actually like the placement of it. Thanks.
Excellent. Councillor Oosterhoff?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just would agree with the last comments, and I'm happy to support this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Other? Okay, seeing none, we need a mover and a seconder for the motion as printed, 9 parts and 8 conditions. Councillor Oosterhoff moves, Jennifer seconds. Further discussion? Seeing none, those in favour? Those opposed? That carries 5 to 1. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Ritzmer. Thank you, sir. That moves me on to here. I believe we have no working group reports, no motions, notices of motion, none being given. Other business. Correspondence, you see the newsletters from the Interior, actually 2 of them from the Interior Heritage Trust, and brings us down to the next and what will be the final meeting of this committee on February 15th. And I would remind those of you who have not yet applied for either of the Heritage Properties or the Heritage Program Committee to do so preferably this week. And then you won't forget. I think I've run out of things unless I've got anything left from staff, from anybody, and if not, I look for a mover and a seconder to adjourn. Moved by Don, seconded by Councillor Oosterhoff at 10:32. Thank you all very, very much, and safe drive home.